Are you speaking? I can't hear you.
We're not speaking yet. We're
Thank
about.
you. Okay.
Okay, we are ready.
Welcome to the April 28th, 2025 meeting of the Land Use and Waterfront Committee. My name is Gabe Terzo and I'm the Vice Chair of the committee. Tonight we are joined by Assistant District Manager Brendan Burke. This meeting is called to order at 6:36 p.m. As a reminder, New York state law requires all committee members who are not able to attend the meeting in person to have their cameras on and their first and last names displayed from the time the meeting is called to order until the time the meeting is adjourned. Members of the public who are attending virtually, you can raise any questions or comments that you have through the Q&A feature of Zoom. Members of the public who are here in person, you can raise any questions that you have by raising your hand. If there's some time following the committee's discussion, we will field questions from the public. For the record, Susan has dutifully agreed to do meeting minutes this week. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We will now take attendance by roll call. Brendan will conduct the roll call.
Committee members, I will call your names. When your name is called, please say present. I will announce if there is quorum. Majid Abdul Samad isn't with us tonight. There's Tanya Arias. Victoria Benatar.
Present.
Jim Collins.
Here.
Okay. Maya Donahue.
Present.
Alec Milichek.
Present.
Rich Mintz isn't with us tonight. Larry Shire.
Present.
Sandra Sherrod.
Present.
Letty Simon.
Present.
Susan Steinberg.
Present.
Mark Thompson. Okay, do see Mark.
He's
So,
here.
yep, he's counted as present. Gabe Terzo
Present.
and James Vera. I don't see yet.
No, he's not going to make it.
Okay, but we do have a quorum.
The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and is reflected on the screen before you. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting the agenda, please raise your hand. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from the March 24th meeting were distributed ahead of time by the board office. If there is no objection, we will adopt the minutes as drafted. Members of the committee, if you would object to adopting the minutes, please raise your hand. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the March 24th meeting are adopted. They will soon be available on the CB6 website. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. Committee members who are here in person, if you have a question about committee business or wish to do a motion, please raise your hand and I will identify you so you can speak. Committee members who are unable to attend in person, if you have a question about committee business, you may raise your hand through Zoom and I will identify you so you can speak. All committee members, it is extremely important that only one person speaks at a time, so the members of the public watching at home can understand what is being said by each committee member. The chat function for committee members present via Zoom should not be used for committee business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information like an email address that was already stated aloud or on the record during the meeting. Okay, tonight's agenda. Agenda item number 1 will be a presentation by the New York City Economic Development Corporation on the points of agreement commitments related to the Innovation East project. And with that, I'm going to hand over the floor. You are up.
Nice to see everybody again. I know, like I've seen everybody's faces several times now, but for those who don't recognize me, my name's Ben Kuhn. I'm a senior policy analyst on the Government and Community Relations team here at EDC. I'm also joined by Julie and Margot, who are from the Innovation East project team. And I think today we were just going to do, I believe it was last month's land use meeting, we came and presented the points of agreement that was worked out for the Spark project. And I know we wanted to come here and do the same for Innovation East. I know this is like I think it's been presented at your full board, at least the last time and maybe mentioned the time before. And so I'll just keep it at a high level, but, just want to say before I start out, it's really exciting to be here. It's just been a great opportunity to collaborate with you all, and it's been such a smooth process. And, I think we're really proud of, where we landed on this points of agreement. I know it was the product of months and months, if not, a year and a half plus of working with you all, working with Councilmember Rivera. And so happy to where we've gotten. So I think with that, I'll just give you all a high level, and there's so many great things that I actually have to read it off the paper because there's like long list. But so the first is proud to say that a project labor agreements have been worked out for the project, both for construction and for the building maintenance workers with 32 BJ. There's a commitment from the project team to work with the community on programming at the multi-purpose space, which will be on the first floor of the development. There was also a commitment to work with you all on some sort of monthly schedule of community board meetings or other community events. There's also always been a strong emphasis in the project on workforce development and building pipelines, and that's been key to both the Spark and the Innovation East projects. And so Innovation East team has already presented several times on their partnerships with local organizations like Hypothekids, the Lower East Side Employment Network. And so really excited there on the opportunity to build opportunities for employment in the neighborhood. There was also a commitment to activate the first floor for retail with an emphasis on any businesses that may be open past normal working hours. I know that was a priority from the board. There's a commitment for a new housing plan in the Kips Bay area in coordination with Councilmember Rivera and the community board. I know that process has already begun. There's an email chain that I'm no longer a part of anymore, but I know I was just talking to Sandy about it, but those conversations are ongoing, and hopefully that continues, and happy to work with you all if need be on that. There's also a commitment to invest in Bellevue South Park. So as a part of the project, the Innovation East Development Team has committed to an annual investment or donation of $25,000, commencing when the project begins, which is expected in 2027, and lasting, so an annual donation of $25,000 for 10 years to a TBD local group, and expecting that that'll be kind of a collaboration with the community board and either Councilmember Rivera or whoever is the next council member. And then there was also a commitment to exploring ways to improve the pedestrian experience on 27th Street. I know that was a priority for the board. And so kind of beginning stages of kind of exploring that opportunity, but that was also really at a high level. And I think that's it. Oh, and then there's HPD is also moving forward with affordable housing plans at 324 East 5th Street. And I believe the commitment was for an RFP to be released by Q3 this year, which is really soon. So happy to kind of answer any questions or discuss any of those points. But I know you all have been discussing it for a long time, so. Yeah, nice.
I was just curious, approximately how many construction workers will there be eventually?
Yeah, I don't know if that number's worked out. So there's not even a construction manager onboarded for the project. So we're a little bit earlier on in the process than we are for Spark. So I don't know if that's been produced I could be wrong, and it's in the EIS, and that's my fault if it is. I don't know, Julie or Margot, if you know off the top of your head, but
It's a little too early to tell. Once we get our construction manager, those will be able to. Okay, thank you.
So first of all, thank you. I think, I'm just sitting here listening to this list of things that all kind of, came out of this, germinated here in this room, and to see them come to life, so to speak, is really rewarding. And I think we're all very grateful for EDC as a partner in this process. So thank you. Am I correct that the vision is sort of office space for CB6 in Spark and the big meeting space in Innovation East? Is that?
So the office space in Spark was a part of the POA. I know that there's been ongoing discussions with the board, because there's some unfortunate like constraints with DCAS that restricts you all to, I think, like 1,500 square feet, and there's a conversation on whether that's like suitable, or I'll leave it to you all to kind of have that discussion, but that's something that EDC is open to. I know we've said we're open to like community board meeting space in Spark, and then Innovation East is additional to that. And I know there's a letter from the project team on that as well, and that commitment to work with you all.
See that Jim's hand. So-
All right, Jim.
Yeah, I think we discussed this the last time you were here. There's at least 1/4 of construction that will cover both Innovation East and Spark, so that there'll be a bottleneck along First Avenue, which is particularly crucial given the fact that Beth Israel Hospital is no longer serving us. So emergency vehicles going up First Avenue servicing Lower Manhattan will have an issue there. Is what has been done to ameliorate that situation?
Yeah, so certainly appreciate the attention towards that situation. I do just want to start off that the EIS does study the impacts of both Innovation East and Spark construction. But construction manager for Spark, relatively new. Innovation East hasn't come on yet. So a lot of the work that they do is going to be working on some of those traffic plans. We've also, sent a resolution to DOT, made them aware, we're certainly internalizing what you all put together in that document. And so hear you, top of mind for us, but yeah, sorry, go on.
If you can undertake the construction so that at least 1 month that we're aware of does not occur, so that whatever arrangement needs to be made to avoid the two of them operating at the same time, that would be very, very much appreciated.
So like avoiding the construction timeline.
The timing we saw. Right, the timing we saw showed 1/4 of construction would overlay the other.
Okay.
Okay, and Sandy.
You mentioned a component of housing.
Yeah.
What is the address, please?
The address is 324 East Fifth Street.
Thank you.
Fortunately not in our ward.
Yeah.
I see.
Sandy.
The monies that are to go towards the route for the park, you mentioned that starts in 2027.
Yeah, it'll begin with it's worded in the POA as beginning with construction commences on Innovation East, which is expected in 2027.
And will this be dispersed through the passport system?
That's a good question. Maybe I should know. Okay, you hope not. I hear the recommendation. Honestly, personally, I'm like less familiar with the like mechanics of that stuff. But I know that it's worded in the POA, I believe, to either way, we're working with you all on it. This isn't like the last time you'll hear about it. And I think a lot of details of it just need to be worked out. So that'll be an ongoing point of collaboration.
Okay.
And it's assumed that it will be a local not-for-profit.
Yeah.
But maybe it has to be a I'm sorry to sound so detailed, but it's for 2027 that comes off.
Yeah. I have the whole back wording. Anyway, you all have the wording too, but the expectation is it's a not-for-profit.
Not-for-profit,
Yeah.
funded.
And I apologize, this is
Yeah.
premature, but, and I know we asked last month, is there any more detail yet about the kind of plan, the DCP housing plan that has been promised, or it's still kind of in the very
Yeah,
early phases?
unfortunately, I can't speak for them, but I know we've put them in contact with you all. It sounds like at least an initial meeting's getting put together.
And if I might just follow up with that, was there an expectation of an amount or what?
No, I just, I personally just can't speak for DCP. I know that they were, willing to make that commitment in the POA, but I just, I can't speak to what they want to do.
So the POA doesn't actually say we anticipate X number of additional.
No, it doesn't. It's just a commitment to the housing study.
Okay, I have one more question.
Yeah.
I know that ULURP talked about coordination with the MTA.
Yeah.
I know it's not necessarily in the POA, but is that something the EDC still plans to undertake?
Yeah, so I think what we've heard from the MTA, what we've tried to be clear about to you all is the MTA won't make changes until, the project's up and running. So we've, been in conversation, they know about the project, but just the way they operate, they just won't make like a change until the project is there, unfortunately, but yeah, there we are.
Yeah, no, we're just concerned about, chicken and egg problems.
Yeah,
But
no,
no, thank you.
I understand.
Any further questions from the committee?
Just,
Okay.
sorry. So in terms of coming back to us, I mean, I'm not sure how far along the design process you are or what kind of milestones there will be.
Yeah.
Has that been established?
Honestly, I don't think we've like mapped out the milestones. I don't know if you all wanna speak to it more than me, but.
Yeah, we're right now working through our PDC submission, so we're working on draft documents. We're hoping to get it over to the PDC sometime later this month, and then we'd love to just share that down with the deputy team.
So PDC, you come to us not for schematics, but for the next stage of PDC, you really?
Correct, we went through the conceptual PDC process last year, we got the conceptual approval. Now that we were certified regular, we have to go back to PDC. Drawings are at a similar type, the checklist is kind of very similar between the conceptual level and preliminary level. Renderings are gonna be updated to make it more realistic, because it was again very preliminary in the last round. But hopefully in the next month, I'd say, we'll be able to share an updated, guys.
And I know in the PDC process, you do come to us at some point, but is that further along in the process?
It's gonna be, I guess, after we submit to PDC, we'll send the documents over to you guys, and then it's kind of get a really empirical process.
I do know at some point you come to us before the PDC, but that may be, do you know?
I'll double check the timeline for the next round of PDC after that.
Thank you, because I do know. Okay, thank you.
I mean, you guys know you have a standing invite with the land use committee. And in fact, is there any further questions from the committee or the public? But I'd love for you guys to stick around briefly for our second agenda item.
Yeah, of course.
Which is the second item on the agenda is the discussion of the disposition of city-owned land at 455 First Avenue to 455 First Avenue Associates LLC, a joint venture between Taconic Partners and Divco West as part of the Innovation East project.
Yes.
This
Hi.
is, there's a reso up on the screen. This is it's sort of a pro forma procedure here, and if you guys want to speak of very
Yeah.
briefly, so we.
I'm actually joined by Brandon, who's on our real estate team online. And Brandon, you want to just give like a quick overview?
Yeah, sure. I can give a quick overview. So, just basically the high points here are that in 2018, EDC put out an RFEI. As part of the RFEI, one of the plans was to redevelop 455 First Avenue. And in 2022, the mayor announced a partnership between the city and the development partners, which include Taconic and Divco West in collaboration with NYU. The idea here is that once DOHMH vacates 455 First Avenue, the development partners will construct an approximately 550,000 rentable square foot building dedicated to life sciences. The facility will consist of space for startups, graduation space, and established space, all focused on life science and life science usage. NYU will be there as an anchor tenant. This is, of course, part of the overall vision for the Kipp Space Science District, which will be home to approximately like 3 million square feet of life science space in 2030. The goal is to cement NYC as a global leader in the life sciences sector. This project in particular will create more than 1,000 jobs across various skills and education levels. Space will feature activities stemming from partnerships with local K-12 schools, colleges, and nonprofits, with the goal of workforce development and education. This recommendation is to proceed with this project and this vision, and is required as sort of a matter of law pursuant to Section 384B4 of the city charter.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think we have sort of agreed to all of these things already through our previous work and our previous resolution. So this is sort of a order of operations issue where we're kind of agreeing to this disposition, which the material of we've already gone through. So it really is just again something of a pro forma thing. So do I have any questions from the committee? Sandy.
Sorry. And this is different than a Spark arrangement then?
Maybe Brandon, are you able to speak to it a little bit?
You said this is different from, sorry, Spark?
From the Spark 384B4.
Yeah, so as you know, these two projects sort of travel together, but this is a separate disposition since these are separate projects. The reason why these didn't travel together initially was it was just sort of a timing issue with Spark itself, not so much as we are decoupling these projects because, again, these are traveling together, and the idea here is we want to develop the Kipp Space Science District as sort of one overall goal for the city.
And
I'm sorry.
sorry, the lease, the prepayment, could you go back again, one back, sorry. Where is back, at the 65 million. That's the rental payment for the entire term of the lease.
Yes, it's just paid in one lump sum.
So for 100 years, or 99 years, that's the rent payment.
Yes.
Jim?
This is just to conform with ULURP, correct? To get the community board approval on the ULURP end of it?
It's sort of separate, but it's sort of it's a separate procedure, but it all sort of travels together. So you've already sort of during ULURP said that we have disposition authority. This is just another sort of step and another procedure that's separate, but also required for disposition.
And what's the cost? You're not letting a fee interest, you're letting a leasehold interest, is that right?
Yes, it's a 99-year lease.
And what's the amount again? I didn't hear.
The amount of money for the rental payment, 65 million.
Yeah. 65 million for 100 years?
99 years.
Oh, yeah.
Larry.
Now, Jim had brought up a point earlier relating to the traffic and the staging of the construction, the potential staggering of construction of this in Spark. Might we consider as a committee amending this resolution to A, and whereas mention that if there's overlapping construction, it is likely to create a traffic backup on the approach to the emergency room
Well,
at NYU, and then in the resolve, urge EDC to work this out between the two projects.
I mean, if I may, I mean, I think that's obviously something that's a huge priority to this committee and to the community. I just, my feeling is that it's sort of a little far afield for a resolution on just the disposition of land and approval of the lease. I mean, we do have pending, resolutions to this exact effect.
No, but what I'm trying to do here is seize upon the visibility of this, so that anybody who has to be in contact with this resolution and put it into any other document going forward is going to be reminded.
Oh, Sandy.
And so you already have a resolution that addresses the conflicts for during construction. I thought we already did.
Well, we're talking about Spark, but I'm trying to mirror that here.
Well, I think,
I thought we did.
yeah,
I
I mean,
thought we
we
did.
passed it at full board. It was joint, between land use and transit. So we sort of on the record as a community board, sort of overwhelmingly calling this out as something that's extremely important to us.
Okay, I'm just looking not only to wear a belt, but to add some suspenders.
So
But if the committee is not anxious to change this, I can support the resolution as it is.
And so do I have a motion?
I'll move unamended.
Thank you.
Okay, so when I call your name, please say whether you're in favor.
Actually, I'm sorry, actually, if you would make a motion to amend the resolution to that effect, I'm happy to second it, because I think the more we emphasize that construction bottleneck, the better.
I mean, out of order.
Yeah,
Jim.
point of order, it's already been.
All right,
seconded.
well,
And I've
has it been
already
seconded? I
withdrawn.
didn't hear a second.
Yeah, and I've already withdrawn.
All right,
Okay, so
I'll make it then.
when I call your name, please say whether you're in favor, oppose, abstain, or not entitled. Victoria Benatar,
In favor.
Jim Collins,
Abstain.
Maya Donahue,
In favor.
Al Militant,
In favor.
Larry Shire,
In favor.
Sandra Sherrod,
Not entitled.
Letty Simon,
In favor.
Susan Steinberg,
In favor.
Mark Thompson,
In favor.
Gabe Terzo.
In favor.
With 8 in favor, 1 abstention, and 1 not entitled, this resolution passes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone from the EDC.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I mean, if you guys want to stick around, we are still going to be doing something EDC adjacent next, but.
I can stick around.
Okay, the third item on our agenda, is a continued discussion of the proposed public uses for the Water Club site at 500 East 30th Street. I think we're gonna bring up the results of the feedback. Is that correct, Brian? Public feedback, period?
Yeah, we can definitely share that. We sent this along to committee members ahead of tonight's meeting. But we had a few people write into us.
This is how many people responded.
Yes.
But for each person who responds, that's 100 people who
Right.
wanted to. And I think we've discussed this at pretty great length in this committee for some time. So if I guess we want to just highlight them in full real quick, and then we'll move on to the proposed resolution.
Yeah, so like expand each of the individual responses.
Okay, yeah, so, I mean,
Make it larger.
Oh. There we go, that's, I think that's better.
yeah, so I mean, it's, I think that, you know, the thematic, we're consistently hearing this, the theme that we want to, you know, we want a waterfront that has public amenities and has park space.
And also access to that water.
And
Water.
yes.
Brendan, if you could just leave it so we can actually read through.
Oh, sure, sorry. Oops, that did not mean to do that. There we go.
Right, well, also Arlene mentions the desirability of having a restroom there.
Yeah.
Now, if there's a public amenity such as a restaurant or something like that, you would have to have plumbing, then you might be able to accommodate it.
I'm sure the water club had something.
Yeah,
But we don't know what conditions.
Okay.
There's probably already existing connections from the water club.
Yeah, so. All right, that's, yeah.
This one was, I guess, anonymously. Please finally run and maintain community centers.
Fair point.
To the point.
And then, you know, more of the same theme we're hearing again and again from our community, more waterfront, more green space. And so I think the community, yes, Victor.
You know, I would like to put some emphasis in creating public restrooms, you know? Maybe we can make a difference with the rest of the communities by our community having emphasis on that. I think it's service that the city needs urgently. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Oh, will that area be open 24/7? Because I think if it gets to be known that there's a public restroom, it's going to become a popular spot with the homeless.
Well, that can be also addressed, and everybody, you know, like, if we wanna go to the restroom, you have to go to a restaurant, or you have to go to a hotel. And, you know, we're in New York City,
Yeah.
the city should have,
And the borough president has been very clear that this is something that's sort of lacking and is a quality of life issue. There are different models that sort of deal with this, right? There's the
Yeah.
Union Square model, which is not terrific, but it's there if you need it. And then there's the sort of the Madison Square Park model, the you know, pay toilet.
And we had a resolution suggesting that it be implemented at Stuyvesant Square, I'm sorry, Stuyvesant Cove.
Yes, we explored a lot of different options with that.
So,
There is a program with the city to get the automatic flushing one.
you know, that's the kind of thing we like to put in there. So at the minimum,
Or cleaning one.
we could make a recommendation for that, even if it's not like the big place at Bryant Park.
right, no, I mean, I understand the problem with the homeless. That's another issue, it needs to be resolved. But, you know, they also have the right to go.
Yeah, but I think we do have methods for dealing with that, so.
No, I was gonna say, I think to Victoria's point, it is an amenity that is needed along the waterfront. I don't think it's gonna draw people from Midtown, because it's kind of remote, but anyone who's on the waterfront might need
Yeah.
access, so.
Yeah, so we do have a proposed resolution, if we want to amend it to add a quick whereas and resolve regarding restrooms, I think I'm hearing some support for that in the committee.
I support, I just said, you know, was saying I didn't know if it was gonna be available 24/7.
So greenification and a restroom?
I mean,
I am.
I think so, I mean, and we could briefly put conditional, that is language that's very general but deals with this problem, right?
Yeah.
Restroom.
Address like closing it or.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Well, are these the restrooms that are the ones that like Samosa where you have to pay to get into them? They can turn them on and off at certain times or self-washing? So that was supposed to originally have been there decades ago.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, so it doesn't have to be maintained
Doesn't have,
daily
doesn't,
basis.
doesn't require an attendant.
Yeah,
And they might still be, I mean, several years ago, they were hunting for locations to put these in. It was just a question of, like, as Jim brought up, is there plumbing there or not? That's the real first question. If there's no plumbing on the site, then it's a problem. And we had looked at basically the whole waterfront years ago, and a lot of places didn't have plumbing, so we couldn't put them in, but some places might, maybe for the water club. I just don't know.
Yeah, I
That's-
mean,
But it could be like in a boat, by the water, it can be like,
yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, I think as a committee, we can proceed with the notion that the water club certainly had restrooms, so let's
did.
work under the
I
assumption.
remember
Yeah.
using one.
Attach.
That's,
That's
that's
another
something,
condition they're in, but yeah.
well, it's a 21st century solution.
We can figure it out. Yeah.
Um, okay, so we do have this resolution in front of us. I think what we're hearing is a whereas and a resolve, adding a line about restrooms. So I think we can keep it very short and sweet.
What, was there anything in there about an activation?
Yeah, there's a couple. It's what we talked about previously, right? We talked about short-term and activation and then something longer term.
What was it? I'm thinking specifically food and beverage related.
That is also in there, yes.
Okay, then I won't, well, I won't pursue it anymore if it's there.
I mean, I think I put it in there. So I think I'm gonna add a quick whereas, whereas Community District 6, needs a greater quantity of public restrooms.
And let me know if the last whereas is the appropriate place to put, or if there's a different
I-
whereas.
I'm fine with it there, I think.
So whereas Manhattan Community District 6 needs a greater quantity of public restaurants.
Yeah.
And then there's the EDC inlet and
We can even throw it, I think, I kind of wrote it in a way that they don't, it can kind of bundle them, so we can just add a line into one of the therefores. Maybe the second one,
Should we also include in the whereas that there are already like connections or plumbing due to the waterfront site? Or the club site, like the building itself?
I would.
Okay, so you addressed food and beverage by commercial activity? Is that what you did?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we discussed, so I mean, we can talk about it and vote on it, but I think we wanted to put a resolution together that expressed the things we had sort of talked about in the preceding months, and that was something I got the sense there was some consensus for. But yes, back to Maya's point, if we want to, sorry, Brendan, if we can go back quickly to the whereas.
which whereas?
The restroom one, needs a greater quantity of public restrooms and
And there would be mechanisms to achieve a restroom on the site due to the.
with proper plumbing.
Yeah.
Due to the existence of plumbing from the former water club.
Thank you.
Right, Community District 6 needs a greater quantity of public restrooms. The mechanisms restroom on the site due to the existence of plumbing from our water. Is that?
Yep, I love it. Okay, and then therefore. Maybe at the end of their first, therefore, long-term resilient, high-quality public space with a restroom, or maybe that sort of undermines it a little bit.
So I don't use the self-cleaning term of art, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like clean room.
Yeah.
With a self-cleaning restroom,
Self-healing breath.
self-cleaning restroom.
Okay. Okay, this was circulated, for the meeting, if anyone has any other questions or concerns, not, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Third.
Okay. So when I call your name, please say whether you are in favor, opposed, abstain, or not entitled. Victoria Benatar,
In favor.
Jim Collins,
In favor.
Maya Donahue,
In favor?
Alec Militek,
In favor.
Larry Shire,
In favor?
Sandra Sherrod,
In favor.
Buddy Simon,
In favor?
Susan Steinberg,
In favor.
Mark Thompson,
In favor?
and Gabe Terza.
In favor.
With all 10 committee members in favor, this resolution passes.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a modification to the resolution we just passed that we change self-cleaning restrooms to automatic public toilets, which seems to be the correct term for the city.
It's a
Agreed.
term of art.
Yeah.
How apt.
There's a joke in there somewhere, Sandra, but I can't make it. Like,
Automatic public toilet, to me gives the impression that you don't need to hit the flush valve.
That's the
That's
term
really
that the
the
city
term that the city
utilizes,
uses?
Jim.
That's
Yeah,
what it
that's
Really?
that's a city term.
yeah, you go in,
Is
you
it-
pay your money, you get so much time, and
so-
then it washes when you get up and walk out.
Auto cleaning, self-purifying.
Seems agreeable to the committee unless there are any
Self-generated.
objections.
Or
Fine.
you could still say self-cleaning.
Automatic
Automatic
toilet.
public.
Yes, we can add,
Said auto cleaning,
and
auto cleaning.
well, two autos in a row would be kind of repetitive.
I know.
But I would self-cleaning automatic public toilet so that there's no
Right. No.
confusion.
Okay.
So it's clean automatic public part.
Yeah,
So moved.
Yes, so corrected.
Perfect.
Corrected.
and automatic public toilets apparently is capitalized. Yes,
All
because
caps.
it's a
every
proper
letter.
name. Thank you.
Thank you for the,
So automatic, uppercase A, uppercase T for public, and uppercase.
I didn't come to.
Okay, thank you.
APT, another abbreviation for the city.
Yes,
This
it is
the
very
housing
apt, as
committee.
Susan pointed out. I don't think you got it.
It all comes out in a wash.
So I think our next.
Are we ready? Okay, I didn't know if we had completed. Okay.
I think we're good.
Yeah,
I think we're-
yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Thank
So our
you.
next item is a discussion of district needs and budget requests. We can pull up the statement of district needs. I think, we can, I'd like to agree to all the edits we've made. And if necessary, we can send it back to the drawing board for one more month, but ideally, I think we'd like to be able to just wrap this up and put it to bed. So I did make some changes today, removing anything mentioning the DSNY project.
Good.
And I thought that we should mention the need for medical care, given the needs of the district are quite closely linked now with the lack of loss of hospital beds at MSBI.
May I suggest that it's more than just a need for medical care, but it's a higher level of medical care than an urgent care.
I like that language.
So where
Well,
we
district remains equipped to meet the current current public health needs, sort of like perhaps addresses that, but unless, if we want to deal head on with the fact that we're being perhaps
Belt and suspenders.
belt and I think in this case, I think we will adopt the belt and suspenders approach. And perhaps we can change this to say preservation.
The wording was higher level of medical care than urgent care.
So where is this?
To the creation and preservation of perhaps a higher level of medical care after creation and preservation.
Excuse me, but is urgent care mentioned? before, I read it, but I
Well,
couldn't remember.
I'm implying that, the Beth Israel urgent care facility that was put in Community District 3 across the street at Second Avenue and 14th Street.
No, I understand what
Yeah.
you mean. I'm just saying, was there any
Would it be
reference to
better
it?
to put like
Because it kept
acute
comes out of
care as
West
opposed to
York.
higher than a thing
Yeah.
that doesn't have prior references, I think. So-
Well, I mean, you've got emergency rooms. I don't think we need to limit ourselves to whatever the definition is of acute care.
You know, maybe I said.
Because there might be maybe also some
Right, no, I
some
think-
rooms that you could stay overnight.
Right, no, I think it was more of a, so to Susan's point, if we're saying higher than, it implies that we previously spoke about something. So just to quantify it,
I meant a higher level.
right,
I
understand what you meant.
you know, in terms of medical treatment.
So maybe what we should say is a higher level than the urgent care center that has been proposed.
A higher level of medical treatment than could be offered at the urgent care.
Center on.
That is already open.
Okay, so the wording would be the creation and preservation of a higher quality.
No,
A higher level.
a higher level of medical care than is possible.
At the urgent care facility that is currently
Provided.
Understands.
And I guess delete this portion.
By Beth Israel Medical, I'm sorry, Mount Sinai, at, East 14th Street and Second Avenue.
So we'll just say at the site.
In Community District 3.
Yeah, and then maybe we could just cut off a couple words and just be like, this committee seeks to ensure that the district remains equipped to meet current and future public health needs.
Okay, so can you say that again, Gabe?
Sorry, so we will
Can we make this active voice a higher level of medical care than the urgent care facility currently provided by Mount Sinai East 14th Street provides, or something like that?
Well, I think this is clear.
I mean, when
But
in
it's very
doubt, use
subjective.
the active voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Yes.
very subjective to what's happening elsewhere, which might change in, next week. I think it'd be better to define what it is we're looking for than higher than something that
Well, we're
is
basically,
happening elsewhere.
okay,
I mean, so maybe sorry, Brendan's gonna.
well, the basic problem is that we have no emergency rooms south of Bellevue.
Right, but we're not saying that.
Yeah.
We're talking about what's happening over on West 13th Street.
Right, and well, you remember the experience with the closure of St. Vincent.
I very well remember all of it, yeah.
Well, what would you?
I mean, I remember with the closure of Greenie and
Okay,
everything we went through,
Well,
but
what did you learn from those experiences that might be suggested as language here?
I mean, sorry to interrupt, but I think the real question is, what is the appropriate level of granularity and specificity in this document? This is not a resolution per se. We are, I think, just stating the statement of district needs, right? And
but they're gonna require some sort of explanation of what it means.
well, that's what I mean. I think the
Yeah.
original wording
So-
probably did convey that.
So I'm interested in Sandro's recollection of the experiences that
Well, I
we
mean,
had then.
so all of those closures had to do with completely different scenarios. There was a state commission that mandated reduction of beds. There was, foreclosure kind of situation going on. So I don't think it was that, but I think if we want to be clear in what we think the gap is, right? So if it's just higher than urgent care, that's fine. If we want to say we want additional emergency room beds, whatever it is, I think is appropriate.
higher
Well,
level of medical.
And beyond an emergency room, you need to have, you
Well,
need to have
yeah.
beds to put people in, otherwise.
And you have to have supporting care, right? Because you can't just have an emergency room. That's what urgent care is. If you have an emergency room without.
Okay, but you have,
everything else, right?
but you have some language there that could go in here. Supportive care.
Well, I'm not sure what you had in mind. So, I mean.
No, I only was thinking conceptually. I didn't have any detail like you can provide.
Well,
perhaps.
acute care is a,
I don't know what it means.
How about micro hospital as opposed to an urgent care center?
Okay, so maybe we say,
Yeah, and well, that's not a term of art. It is something I can visualize.
Micro hospital is a term
It
of
is a
art
term of
in the
art.
healthcare industry.
Okay. Then I could, go with replacing higher level of medical care. A micro hospital instead of, or in addition to.
A micro hospital is a small scale inpatient facility designed to provide many of the same services as a full hospital, but on a smaller, more accessible and efficient scale.
yeah, of course, we want a full-scale hospital, micro hospitals. I think maybe what we think we can get.
Of at least.
8 to 15 beds.
No, that's
So
not, that's not,
The original, sorry,
That's a
Sandy,
micro hospital.
I was just,
Yeah.
what,
800 to 8.
that the land use decisions prioritize the creation and preservation of hospital space to ensure the district remains equipped to meet current and future public health needs, including potentially a micro hospital.
perfect.
You know, added at the end. instead of-
Okay, fine,
yeah, it
fine.
doesn't have to be exact.
Fine,
Okay.
yeah, that's fine.
And is it written like this, like micro hospital, one word? It's a new term for me, so.
It's not getting a spell check, so. I think you're all right.
Is it one word, Victoria?
Well, being that
Micro
thing,
hospital.
it probably is one word, yes.
It's, micro hospital is one word, typically 8 to 15 beds,
Two words.
sometimes up to 25.
Or
Open
you could say
24/7.
Such as a micro.
Yeah,
hospital.
such-
Yes, such as,
Or-
Not including.
So
in addition, yeah,
emergency services, imaging, CT, lab service, line surgery.
maybe you jinxed it, now it's red, but no, I think it's still okay.
Oh, no,
I have it hyphenated.
no, hospital
Hyphenated
is
are two separate words.
S. I think you're missing an I before.
That's it. Okay, I mean, I don't wanna spend forever down this rabbit hole, but my concern is that by adding micro hospital, we're sort of,
We're pigeonholing ourselves.
yeah. Or sort of,
Closing, there are other better opportunities.
yeah, exactly, pigeonholing ourselves and foreclosing on better opportunities, so.
Well, what are some other examples?
Well, I mean,
List example?
I don't think we need to, we can leave the onus onto the city agencies. We just need to state what we want. And we want healthcare facilities that can meet the needs of this community. Like, we don't need to overcomplicate it.
I agree.
I
And
concur with that.
people to suggest ideas for whoever's going to be developing or whatever, and then this is what the committee is for, to say if we like it or we don't like it when it comes to us.
That's and we will be harsh.
So I guess delete the micro hospital.
I like it such as.
I would like to delete it. I think it's too small for what we want anyways.
Okay.
Such as a micro hospital or other,
Maybe
I
5.
wouldn't specify it, such as healthcare facilities that can meet the needs of.
well, but we've been told that, urgent care is sufficient, and I wanna push back on that, and that's the whole reason I raised this.
But I think we're saying we want expanded healthcare facilities.
Yeah, but that's.
I like
Yeah,
this
but they,
idea.
they gave it to us.
But we want
this-
more.
But I like this
Well,
idea of yours. I mean,
Such as, I don't know what, I don't.
But then they come to us with a micro hospital, 15 beds, and then we say we want more, and then they say, well, this is.
You asked for a micro hospital.
Like, we don't wanna say. what
Such
we
as
want.
one or more,
Well, then they come with 20 beds.
how about 20 micro hospital?
Okay, 20 micro hospitals, put that in there.
I also don't like, from what we understand about the micro hospital, it seems like it's only emergent, like what about like planned surgeries or something like that, where does that go? You have to go to another hospital further uptown or something, if you want
Right,
bigger
exactly.
services, then I think we shouldn't specify this.
Well, what we're left with is, a whole, in terms of, how timely you can, get treated if you have a heart attack. You need
I agree.
something
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah,
I
we
agree.
could, so that's where I think we could say something to the effect of emergent acute services, including cardiac care. Like if that's a thing we're asking for, we can specifically ask around that.
That's an
Versus-
example. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I very limited micro hospital concept is not necessarily
Sandy.
helpful.
I just, you know, all this discussion, we don't know exactly what we want, so I think we have to leave it a little broader.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but urgent acute care such as, a heart attack, what?
Chemotherapy.
Lots of things.
Yeah.
But do we know what,
But what's the minimum?
So I mean, we're still looking into what the quantifying the sort of deficiencies created by the
Yeah.
closure of MSBI.
Exactly.
Well, everything that they provided.
well, they haven't been doing much for last few years.
No, but in the, they had neonatal before.
You know, it's also an aging
Yeah, for a
population.
very
We're gonna
long
have
time.
probably
So,
more NORCs and a greater population of within the NORCs. Like we want, this is planning for the future here. So I'm concerned with pigeonholing ourselves with sort of any degree of
If you do,
specificity.
how about using the community appropriate? That's weasel words too.
Yeah, but I don't think it's good to define what our minimum is, because then we're gonna be.
They're gonna go there
Yeah.
exactly.
What about if you say to replace at least the services lost by the closing of MSBI?
Well, they've been closing the services gradually.
But it's a general statement. You don't have to be specific.
I mean, yeah, and it's at least that.
At least the services once provided.
That's
by
right, yeah.
SBI.
And that's general, and that
Yeah, that's
covers
pretty
it
good.
without being specific.
Yeah, I like that, Letty.
Okay.
Do you wanna get that?
I don't like that either.
What do you suggest?
Well, I think honestly, just taking out the provision we had, such as micro hospitals, and leave it as it is, because I like what you're emphasizing, Letty, but I still don't think we should tie ourselves to a specific, because as Gabe was saying, like things will change over time. And what our community's needs will change. If we're tying ourselves to a specific point in time, we're going to get that in 15 years when it's not relevant. Like, look what's happening.
If I have a heart attack, tomorrow.
You
and,
go to
I'm
your-
What
not
this
gonna
is,
wait 15 years.
but this is a general statement about what our needs are. So
Right.
that's why I'm saying what we're stating is that in other words, at least to replace the services lost by the closing of MSBI. That would be a general statement expressing that, because this is a need, this is what we need. We need to replace at least that without
Right.
pigeonholing ourselves into specifics. Would be a general statement that covers that and makes our needs known. We need to replace those services.
Letty, I move to amend this to, include what, Letty said, like we should take a vote, because I don't think we are unanimous.
But wait, let's read this again.
Sorry, Brandon.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So just a reminder that when we were trying to fight the closure of MSBI, that we passed a resolution, calling, or opposing the closure in the first place. So I assume we wouldn't have had that resolution if we believed a full service hospital.
Wasn't necessary.
Was necessary in the area. So just some food for thought.
I kind of think it's fine the way it is.
The recent closure of
Can't
Mount
do
Sinai by
this.
Israel has further strained the district already limited healthcare resources. The loss of hospital beds intensified the need for expanded
Sure.
healthcare facilities to serve both local residents and broader city. As development continue, it is critical that land use decision prioritize the creation and preservation of hospital space to ensure the district remains.
Yeah, I mean, I think the general purpose of this document is for, you know, for the city to say, what are our top land use concerns right here in CB6? And we've told them in another section, parks and hospitals. That's what we want. And I think this conveys that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we leave it like this.
That's my feeling.
See, the district remains equipped to meet
Yeah.
current and future public health needs.
That's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, I really.
All right, I'll go.
Okay. Thank you, Larry. Okay, I think with the parliamentary stuff is different on this, right, Brennan, like,
Yeah, this is not a resolution, so
No,
Sure,
it's-
sure.
Yeah, submit it this way.
if there is significant disagreement, then, you know, I would at the very least recommend a show of hands, just to make sure the majority agree on the language in a particular place, but.
If you want to.
Just to clarify, can you read the paragraph so that we're all clear?
It's on the screen, Jim. You should be able to see it.
I don't know if he can.
I'm reading on it.
I'll read it.
I'm on a cell phone, so forget that.
I will read it for people,
I
I will read it out loud for those who are unable to read it, on the screen. The recent closure of Mount Sinai Beth Israel has further strained the district's already limited healthcare resources. The loss of hospital beds intensifies the need for expanded healthcare facilities to serve both local residents and the broader city. As development continues, it is critical that land use decisions prioritize the creation and preservation of hospital space to ensure the district remains equipped to meet current and future public health needs.
I like it. I think
Yeah,
That's
it's
fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, I guess you got it
I
all.
wouldn't move it to
That's
micro
fine.
hospital.
Unanimous. I think we're moving on.
Moving on.
I claim.
By housing, there's really not much, the one thing I added, and this is, I mean, open to the committee here, I think, I wanted to touch on the task force mentioned, by DCP, EDC. I don't know if that belongs here or not, but I thought, it's an opportunity to mention that we are sort of looking to perennially engage with the DCP and the proactive search for housing sites in our district. But it could be the feeling of this committee that it's sort of best dealt with in other venues, and I'd be open to hearing either way.
What are some
Well, with
alternatives?
this, we have language in there that's already pretty pro housing. It's really a question, do we need this or not?
I don't feel
I'm
strong.
thinking it's unnecessary.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to update it for the contemporary, but
Yeah.
my feeling now is it probably doesn't add very much.
Well, unless there's some more specifics, just in terms of like broadly, the opportunities enabled by the.
Well, we don't have any
Yes.
specifics. We have 324 Fifth Avenue, Fifth Street.
Bueno, basically, the city of Jersey is proposing convert office to residential. In a specific, no?
That's sort of in city of yes as well. I think the statement of district needs is already firmly pro-housing, and if the feeling of the committee is this new language is superfluous, I'm willing to strike it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Portion
Yeah, so the whole portion from today, I think, can be, so if we scroll down a little further, economic development, I didn't make a, ton of changes. I did want to add something about economic development. The old one said we are looking forward to, creating the life sciences corridor, essentially. And that it just sounded out of date, so I just kind of wanted to update it, so it didn't sound like we were reading a document that was 9 years old.
May I suggest that instead of saying we create it, but we support it?
Well, so what is the language that you already added? Maybe?
The purple here.
Yeah. So maybe someone could read it since I
Oh,
can't
sorry.
see half of it.
Okay, so the language added is, we look forward to the creation of Sparks, Kip Bay, and Innovation East, which are projected to add substantial new lab and office space and create thousands of new jobs in the life sciences and healthcare sectors, further strengthening CD6's position as a hub for innovation and economic growth.
Should it be CB6?
Community District 6, yeah, well,
Never mind.
sometimes we use.
See, well,
I guess
when we're
it's-
referring to
The
things
district
that are
itself.
in the district,
Yeah,
not the
you're right,
border.
right,
Yeah,
okay.
it's CDs, yeah. I just can't see the left sides.
Oh, and then thought maybe we should move the part about the waterfront to away from economic development
No,
to
no, I
land
like
use.
that section.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
I think it makes sense.
it's a
Alright.
good statement.
Well
of
written.
identity.
Well written.
All right.
So delete this.
Yeah, that, I thought I took that out of there actually earlier today, so that's my mistake. Okay, and so we're all in agreement, what remains there is, what was there before, then I thought it would be apropos to add something about not welcoming the quote unquote economic development of a casino on the site. This may or may not be the venue for it. I thought it perhaps was, so I added it for the committee to look at.
I don't think it belongs there.
That's the last section.
You mean the
Okay.
casino or the
Yeah.
square?
The casino, I don't think that belongs there. As they call it, the entertainment center. I don't think it belongs there.
You don't,
Can't see.
you don't see,
I don't
okay,
see the left side there. Could you just read the sentence?
sure,
Oh,
so
did you want,
while we-
come over
I
here?
didn't want to lean on top of.
while we
you.
welcome
Okay.
economic development in our
Okay, I
community,
see it.
we remain steadfastly opposed to the opening of a casino on the Soloviev site on the empty parcel immediately south of the United Nations. We do not believe that the jobs created by such a project would compensate the community for the expenses it would generate. Further, no amount of economic development could compensate for the substantial quality of life issues that this casino would create.
Here.
That's
good.
All right,
I agree.
All right,
so in or out, what are we in?
In.
In, okay.
it's smack.
Too loud.
Those guys, Susan, please.
I agree with the sentiment. I just don't think it belongs there. But I agree with the sentiment. I want to make sure you understood that.
Letty, if you don't mind me asking, what's your rationale?
My rationale why it doesn't belong there, I think that first of all, I think the traffic would be a mess with the buses, the cars.
Oh, I mean, I'm sorry, in the
Document.
in the document.
Objection to
In the
this
text.
being included in the document.
Why? And I just don't think it belongs in the in the district needs statement.
But what's your,
Why?
can you explain that? Not so much the casino, just why it doesn't belong in district.
Say this is
Because
first-
it's just a personal opinion. But if you want it in there, that's fine. I certainly don't
you sure
object to
about
what
that?
you're saying. I don't
Yeah.
object to what you're saying or how you're saying it. I just didn't think it belonged. It belonged in there, but I wouldn't argue the point
Well,
with you. That was just.
it may become moot, I think is what Sandy is saying.
Yeah,
But if
I think I don't
but
think
if
it has
it-
a life.
But if it does become moot, we can take it out in
Sure.
a couple of months.
Yeah, so fiscal year
In
twenty.
the fall.
So fiscal year 26 starts June 30th, and we already passed
Yeah,
stuff for fiscal year 2026. This is for fiscal year 2027, which starts June 30th, or July 1st of next year.
next year, so it will be decided by then.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
it's been vacant for like 25 years almost, I don't know, at this point,
Well-
so
But
maybe.
Why don't we,
Yeah.
there's also,
Something different.
why don't
but
we
there's
make-
also significant, in the legislation for the casinos, the community input. And this relates to that.
But of course, it will be moved by 2027 theoretically, so.
Oh,
we can ask-
absolutely.
We can ask that the site be developed for something for housing,
A hospital.
something that the community needs, for instance, affordable housing or supportive housing. And just and we don't say not a casino, we just.
No,
Right.
Well,
Be positive.
I suggest this be left in as a placeholder. And then, if, we reach a point where, what Sandy is, saying, we should be recommending, we'll put something, we'll put a new idea in there, yeah.
Is it Alec?
Why don't we just say that we oppose casinos and then use the Soloviev site as the example? So in that first sentence, we can say, while we welcome economic development in our community, we remain steadfastly opposed to casinos, including the Soloviev site. And then
Well,
we
they
can
just,
say,
we don't have to mention the site, we could just say casinos in the district. Casinos
Right.
in the district, yeah.
Yeah.
and then
I
Yeah,
can't think of
so
good
the
sites in the
person-
district, honestly.
We could mention the site and then be like, but we encourage like
Hospital.
XYZ kind of development, like housing or hospital development on the site.
Well, this is a very particular site that maybe Letty and, Susan remember. Well, the community with, Dan Garodnick, worked on a very elaborate plan for it.
Yes.
And obviously, opening, right, and opening a casino, right, and opening a casino is inconsistent with the previously approved plan. That might be a different way to approach this.
so then maybe we should just say we oppose casino. Yeah.
And
support
encourage
economic
any
development.
type of development that are more,
Well, I would say that it was good, if we're gonna mention this site, that the proposal of a casino is inconsistent with the previously, supported and
I thought we had
approved.
discussed that talking about the casino is. It's not point, there's no point to it because it will be, it will
Yeah.
have been resolved by the time this is in effect, so we should be focusing instead on.
On
we
what
would
the,
like to
what the
see.
district needs, not what it
Okay,
doesn't
so
need.
The development of underutilized land. Perhaps should be the angle instead.
A
Or,
question I have, if they sell the site, then it's not gonna be the Soloviev site. If they sell it,
Oh, that's.
Well, it was the father's site and then it became
Well,
the
But I think
son's.
it's
no, I know, but if they
Down-
sell it
yeah,
and
if
they
they
call it
change
Benatar site.
sort of colloquially known as the Sloviev site, but you're right.
You could just include the blocking.
yeah,
Exactly.
it's already changed
So,
names and.
Brent,
No, and
when
also,
do we need-
we don't wanna make personalized, it's an attack against.
when do we need this by?
So, we need it
Yesterday.
ideally by June.
Okay,
Just
so
thinking,
So we can
because
come up with some.
Yeah, so
language.
the budget committee discussed budget requests and the district needs statement more broadly in September and early October.
okay, so it's my feeling that this committee can, in our time, iron out a solution to one paragraph.
Yes.
Yeah,
And revisit this one paragraph next month.
yeah.
Right, well, actually, if we wanna submit something, we can submit it without the paragraph. If we wanna, next month, create a paragraph, we can supplement what we did.
That sounds more positive.
Okay. Okay, so we'll just.
So we should not
strike-
forget the paragraph, because if we eliminate it, then we
Put it
forget.
on the agenda
Yeah.
for next month.
The track changes.
We'll say
fine.
Okay,
I can
we
even,
can.
if
Perfect.
it helps, I can even make a note.
Put it red,
Add a comment.
Okay, so next month we will
okay.
Revisit
That was
that.
the last
revisit.
one, right?
Yeah, that is the end of that site. So then the only thing left for us is the budget requests. We want to talk briefly about those. Well, we are, I wish B was on this committee. This is the perennial question for two of these is they're already in theory fixed, but they're not fixed in reality. So do we keep them in or not? And when we get to the budget requests.
I'll look at budget requests right now.
We're moving to budget requests. We have completed the statement of district needs.
They're here.
Okay.
Yay,
Okay, just give me a quick moment.
And
They,
when I was the new member, I had a hard time finding these, so we should think of kind of a point of telling people where these are.
Still have.
so yeah, these are the 4 land use requests. The first of these is both parks and land use, actually.
New park, yeah.
Which
Well,
sort
could
of,
be Waterfront.
Yeah. I spent some time walking in the waterfront in the new park. It's so beautiful and you don't hear the highway anymore. I
wait,
walked from 54 to 7.
oh, the new one.
Yeah, you don't hear
I think you hear it on
Yes.
the old part.
Where?
Like the one up further into the sixties and seventies, you definitely hear it there.
Well, compared
Past
to how
north-
we used
north
to
of the
hear it.
bridge,
Yeah.
north of the bridge, right.
But that one's also more covered.
Yes, it's very nice. We need to really make this waterfront.
We did ask for soundproofing in the Water Club Reso.
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
Dealing with,
Well, we mentioned that the city council passed something on the volume of helicopters that
Oh, really?
I think it was sightseeing helicopters would not be permitted unless, like, for example, they were electric and didn't make a lot of noise.
I love that. I'm gonna have to do some more research.
It was like on last Thursday.
Noiseless.
So what about the new park?
Okay, so the new park, can we go to so that's our blurb here. Do we have the city response? Agency response. Okay, so this is already the parking, the NYU parking that was part of the POA. No, not part of the POA, but that was discussed by EDC last month. So that's going to be park space already. Now, the question, of course, is, do we leave this in here? They're saying they're gonna do it, or they're saying it's already happening. I guess it depends if we consider what that relatively tiny piece of space an adequate new park or not. Or do we leave it in there until perhaps the water club, it meets its final iteration?
Can we get a fully funded response? This is partially in the fiscal year 25 response, partially funded.
Yeah, so I think, my feeling, it would be that until it's fully funded and exists in the ground,
Yeah.
it should stay.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so, all right, budget request number 1, staying
Agreed.
in. Number 2, a comprehensive coastal resiliency flood risk study. So
This was above.
they are,
We have to keep this in.
I think we do have to keep it in. I think it's incumbent on us to sort of understand,
Better refinement.
but also, I don't personally read this blurb a couple times, and I'm not sure what they're asking us to do. If anyone,
Could you go back to response for a
sorry,
second? It said they does not support and cannot accommodate,
but then it kind of says they can.
remove request.
And just, I think as part of the Spark development, they told us there's a new wall going up from 25th north. And we don't know anything about it, but at least it addresses some of this. So maybe that's what they're saying, is we need to find out and confirm exactly what it is we're looking for.
All right.
So I don't know how far it goes, they haven't come to us.
So what is this
Maybe-
gets held over until our next meeting?
Well, it says that they want to discuss it. So
Maybe-
we should just discuss it with.
All right, so maybe,
All right.
maybe what we're really trying to do here is to better define the gaps in the flood wall
area.
north of the ESCR. Because, private entities like NYU Langone built their own. So we want to make sure that there aren't any gaps.
Vulnerability.
We need to do research on our end, I think,
Yeah.
as to what's happening between, 25th.
I think we also need to schedule a meeting,
Yeah,
because they
me too.
literally have said, we want to meet with you to understand what they're asking.
Right.
Can we
So we
see
wanna
more
look
for-
at the
for
vulnerability,
see more for
right?
the F-25 response? Okay, thank you.
They want more information. the board should contact the agency. So it's kind of clear.
And then we
They're
can
not
pose,
saying no.
then we can pose the question, where is the district, in a continuous flood wall, unprotected?
I think that's not the only question, though. I think we really need to urge them to explore more options than just a flood wall.
Yeah, we don't want.
Okay.
Exactly.
They can't close. because
Flood
it's
wall
got
is really like not
Asphalt.
a
on the ground.
perfect solution.
Yeah,
So
What's the point of a flood wall if it doesn't even?
And if the water can just go up the streets, which aren't,
Yeah.
don't have any, gates.
We can ask them to a meeting, but maybe we need to do a little research before
sure.
we do that, so they can come in June. We can invite them to come in June.
Okay, so I think we are in agreement that we need to do our homework. Maya, would you like to kind of take on
I can.
drafting the questions we think we should be asking?
Yes, I would be happy to.
Thank you. Okay, but we're not taking it out.
No.
Okay.
Good.
Brandon, what's the third one?
Okay, next, constructed continue, okay.
Oh,
Okay, the next one is construct a continuous esplanade, and I think we go down to the agency response, well,
the person can accommodate, remove requests.
I have a question on this one.
yes,
Does this, they say that we can remove it and accommodate, but does it also include the removal of the old Esplanade, like by Beekman, like there's the dog run? And then there's like an Esplanade, actually it's too far, yeah, and it doesn't connect to the new one that they built, it's really low in the water.
The one in Kips Bay is going to connect to 51st Street.
That's
The one that they're doing now around the UN, that is going to connect to 51st Street, to the one at Sutton Place.
Yeah, they should all connect.
so I don't.
Yeah, but it
That's in
does,
the works, that's funded. That's in
No,
the
but
works.
yeah, but they're, so they're gonna build around this old one that exists, from my
Yeah,
understanding.
so I'm
No,
also.
no.
Okay, hold
They're
on,
gonna
one
continue
at a
it.
time, one at a
No,
time.
that's what
Letty,
you said.
Letty,
Yep,
Order.
sorry, okay, Chair recognizes Letty.
what I was saying, and Sandy, I think, the Esplanade that they're building at the UN from 38th to 51st Street is going to be in the water, I believe. Didn't they make a presentation to us?
I think so, but I'm sorry, I'm not sure your concern.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the actual street that it's on.
Right, the bridge is at 54th Street.
Right.
No, there's another one.
No, but
Two-
what Maya
two
is saying,
blocks out.
there is two levels of waterfront.
But they're
correct?
connecting it to the upper level.
Right.
Yeah, and then there's the one that's like,
Doesn't go anywhere.
It's
Yeah.
more, it's
right, are
more
they
like-
going to get rid of it? They're gonna let it just deteriorate?
We don't know.
Okay.
That's, and I think that's a great question, and I think the
Yeah.
question for us, before us here tonight is, do we remove something if it says, please remove this, if it does not yet exist?
Right.
No,
Right.
almost like. I would need to check the exact percentages, but it feels like at least 3/4 of these requests. Agencies are like, remove the requests.
Okay.
And no, please.
So, if we were to like listen to all of these, we would probably have like 8 requests left for the entire list.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I would say no.
Also, I'll note that, our community board is, very judicious. We're not like, our neighboring, district, to the west, which has maybe 50 requests like this, and we have maybe 8, yeah, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, my feeling was, in fact, I brought that up just to actually bring that up, that
It
was not gonna remove.
brought up at
it.
exec.
Yeah, and let the record show we are. Never mind, so we're gonna keep it
Not
in.
disparaging on Brenda.
Well, I mean, they're very aggressive, what can I tell you?
Okay, next, budget request, please. Okay.
Same,
Build
this
it,
also.
This is,
Funding has not been finalized, you know, they said they were going to be designing something.
But yeah, so this agency response is not actually accurate. We have interacted with
This
them and they said they're.
responsive request does not seem to be applicable to the roof.
Yes.
Which agent, they're DOT?
So if we, DOT, yes, DOT.
Well.
So who's
I mean-
actually doing the construction beyond putting the footings in? ESCR, I think, was gonna put in the footings for the,
Wasn't this like an EDC?
no, they didn't have the funding.
No, but I don't know, is DOT the actual agency that would be responsible for? I mean, I guess it's a bridge, but
Yeah, so it's
They're
actually
saying it's not a-
DDC.
yeah,
Um,
Department of Design and Construction.
and what we've been told, at least from DDC, is that this is something they actually now have concrete plans to do.
But not funding.
But not funding. Well, but maybe might be a situation with DOT and the DBC are not speaking to each other. So perhaps they should change the agency on the
Yeah.
receiving end of this request.
Can you have multiple agencies?
Not as far as I know.
On the form? Just
Not,
one.
yeah, I think I would need to check the cases, but I think on the form, you have to put down one agency.
Well, can we guess which is the lead agency?
Well, so actually I have it here that the DDC is gonna be in charge of this, so.
So we should definitely direct this to DDC.
Yeah.
Maybe that fixes
But
it.
so
Yeah, I think.
it says that it's been fully funded, but I know that I don't know if it's been fully funded or was earmarked. Sandy, did they actually confirm that they secured the funds or they were
I think-
earmarking? I don't remember that.
Yeah, much. But
Hopefully
we're
I'm
gonna
wrong.
leave it in.
So let's leave it in.
Oh,
I'm
Okay,
sure
but
that it's
DDC
funded.
will change the
Yes, I've
agency, got it.
made a note that we'll change it to DEC.
Okay, that's good. I won't be it.
Okay. I believe we have completed the discussion of the statement of district needs and the budget request.
Excellent.
Next item is the chair's report. Very briefly, I testified in front of the Charter Review Commission. It was Sandy's words, but I think the message was that the community boards should not be viewed and the ULURP process should not be viewed as obstructions to development, but partners in development.
Okay.
And I think that was the message we were attempting to get across, and I think we did.
And full disclosure, Jesus really wrote it. Through my, I told him what I thought we should say, and he said,
Yeah, I think it was.
It was well written.
yeah.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that, and I think the public, the sentiment in the room was broadly in agreement with that. We are not,
The enemies.
we are not the enemies to development. And then lastly, we, some of us met with CUNY, Sandy and I met with CUNY, the dean of the CUNY Medical School, to do some preliminary discussions about potentially at some point replacing the MSBI with a CUNY teaching hospital. This is not something that we have, anything, any next steps, anything concrete, but it's interesting discussions are taking place in the hospital space. So we as a committee and a body are absolutely not giving up on the provision of medical care.
No, that would meet the district need.
That would meet the district needs.
All that debate for nothing.
All that, well, it's,
Not for nothing.
so anyway, we're all working very hard to preserve some hospital space there. And that is my chair's report. Any old or new business?
Yes,
Susan?
I have some new business. I'm not sure whether the whole committee knows, but I will be staying on as a public member, but in point of fact, I'm not continuing generally on the board.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'll only be available to this committee,
Well,
but I'm not doing any more minutes.
You just do the
Sorry to
seconds.
we'll
see
be
you
third.
go.
we're all looking at me. I just need to back off. I'm overcommitted, in terms of my community activities and I need more time for myself.
Understood.
I appreciate
Your services
services.
greatly appreciated.
Thank you. But I'll be with you, so.
your.
And
But-
thinking our community, just for the arc, okay, I said it's our community, but this community is.
Is this your favorite committee,
Thank you.
Sandy?
You can say it.
It is.
Well, I mean, I'm incredibly grateful for all of your
Thank you.
contributions. Okay,
Motion.
do I
to
hear a
adjourn?
motion to adjourn? The meeting is adjourned at
So
8:05 p.m. So
Thank
moved.
you.
Good meeting. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.